Hello, I'm Mario Toneguzzi, and this is Taking Care of Business. Joining me today is Mike Simpson, who is Executive Director of Operations for the Canadian Energy Centre. Thanks for joining us today, Mike.
Thanks for having me on. Appreciate it.
Well, you folks put out a new report today, new fact sheet on the impact of the oil and gas industry on Atlantic Canada. Let's just start off by Mike telling me what the highlights were of that report.
So this report is actually an updated from last year. We put one out last year about the impact of oil and gas in Atlantic Canada, and we've updated it for this year. So Statistics Canada has data up to 2017, and we wanted to show the significance of the energy industry, specifically oil and gas, in Atlantic Canada. And so this was an update of that. And I think the key part to take away is that oil and gas just isn't an Alberta product. It's a national product, and it has very much importance on economies across Canada. And Atlantic Canada is no different, with a lot of offshore Newfoundland. And in 2017, there were other projects that were being considered. And so this is sort of an update of all that information that we put out about a year ago.
Okay, and I think what I saw, the numbers showed, what was it, 20,000 jobs, and how much was the dollar amount in terms of the impact?
So yeah, it was 20,000 jobs, both direct and indirect, in Atlantic Canada. And I mean, Atlantic Canada has a pretty long history of involvement in the oil and gas, natural gas sector. But right now, Newfoundland, Labrador, of course, with a lot of offshore. And there's much more potential. But you have 20,000 jobs, direct and indirect. You've got about 6.9 billion in nominal GDP to that area, to Atlantic Canada. And then we we modeled it, it generates about 11.4 billion in outputs, which is primarily the value of goods and services produced by the sectors out there. And then one of the final ones was 1.36 billion in wages and salaries to workers of the four provinces. So the impact is really significant, and it's really important for folks across Canada to understand that this is a significant industry to our country.
Yeah, and I think, you touched on it before, but I think that a lot of people don't really realize, when we talk about the oil and the energy industry, everybody automatically talks about Alberta, but it is huge, in a huge industry in Atlantic Canada, specifically, obviously, for Newfoundland and Labrador, right?
It is, and I think that's the key point, is that a lot of people in this country, they think that when a policy comes down or an oil and gas position comes along, is that this is just specific. It only hurts Alberta, or maybe hurts is the wrong word, but it only impacts Alberta. But the thing is that the interconnectivity of this country is vast, and a policy that hits oil and gas doesn't just affect Western Canada, it affects everybody.
Yeah.
And the interconnectivity, one of the things we hit in this this fact sheet, sort of in the second half of it, is the Atlantic Canada's provincial exports to Alberta. And we sort of show that when Alberta's strong, when they're doing strong, that's an economic impact on Eastern Canada, especially the Atlantic provinces as well. And so I think folks really need to grasp we are dependent upon each other, and it's super important for them to really understand that.
And I guess the other thing too, Mike, and this is the last question I had for you, is when we look at the impact, we always talk about numbers and and jobs, and X number of jobs, X number of GDP, but the ripple down effect and the trickle down effect is enormous, right? Because we're talking everything from restaurants to retailers to hotels, you name it, right?
Yes, that is exactly right. We have a table in here on table 3, which talks about Atlantic Canada's exports to Alberta, and it goes all the way down to arts and entertainment. Like, it's not small, and so when Alberta's doing well, this impacts everybody else. And I think it's really, really important for the folks to understand that we're not isolated in this country. We're not just separate jurisdictions that make a decision and this decision goes away. I know in some cases you have provinces, well, we're going to ban hydraulic fracturing, for instance. Well, that might seem like a good idea, but the impact, the ripple effect across the country is significant. And we've put out a number of these fact sheets, and we did Ontario, BC. This is Atlantic. This is the update on Atlantic. And we hope, and what we'll show, and especially next year, because this was 2017, next year will be 2018, you'll see that even in the depressed years, even in the years where oil and gas is not doing great, the impact is still quite significant. And it's something we need to hold, because we need that for the economic recovery that we are looking forward to here at once COVID eventually goes away.
Yeah, you bet. Well, thanks for joining us today, Mike.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
All right, that's Mike Simpson, who is Executive Director of Operations for the Canadian Energy Centre based here in Calgary. This has been Taking Care of Business. I'm Mario Toneguzzi. Thanks for joining us today.